She was a leviathan of steel, a symbol of Britain's industrial might. When the MV Derbyshire was completed in 1976, she was the largest vessel of her kind ever built, a gargantuan OBO, or bulk oil, carrier that stretched over 950 feet in length. Swan Hunter Shipbuilding, a name synonymous with quality and engineering excellence, had crafted her to withstand the world's most unforgiving oceans. Too massive for the Panama and Suez canals, her destiny was to traverse the vast, open waters, a true globetrotter designed for efficiency and safety. With her advanced design and the pride of an entire nation behind her, many believed her to be all but unsinkable. Her career was brief but successful. She sailed the oceans, carrying millions of tons of cargo without incident. By September 1980, she was on her final voyage, carrying a load of iron ore from Canada to Kawasaki, Japan. Her captain, Geoffrey Underhill, was a seasoned mariner, a man of exceptional experience, and her crew was among the best in the British Merchant Navy. Everything about the Derbyshire was by the book, from her construction to her command. But on September 9, 1980, the book was thrown out the window. During the height of Typhoon Orchid, the MV Derbyshire vanished. She didn't just disappear, she was gone without a trace. There was no mayday call, no SOS, no frantic pleas for help. All communication simply ceased. This wasn't a slow sinking, this was a sudden and total catastrophe. The sheer impossibility of it was chilling. A ship built to be a fortress had simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only an agonizing silence. The storm that swallowed the Derbyshire was Typhoon Orchid. It was a strong storm, with winds reaching over 100 miles per hour, and waves towering up to 40 feet. But it was not unprecedented. Other vessels in the area had weathered the typhoon. They had sent reports of rough seas and heavy winds, but they had all survived. Yet the Derbyshire, a ship supposedly built to handle exactly these conditions, was gone. The mystery deepened with every passing day. The search and rescue operation, launched in the typhoon's wake, found nothing. No lifeboats, no debris, no oil slick, not even a single piece of flotsam to suggest what had happened. It was as if a 200,000-ton ship had been swallowed whole by the sea. Without a single shred of evidence, the British government quickly moved to close the case. In a report issued in 1981, the official cause of the loss was simply stated as bad weather. They had no other explanation and, it seemed, no desire to find one. But the families of the 44 crew members, and the 2 wives on board, refused to accept this verdict. How could a modern vessel with an experienced crew vanish without a word? They knew their husbands, brothers, and sons would have sent a distress signal if they had had even a second to spare. The official explanation was an insult to their memory. Driven by grief and a burning need for answers, the families banded together. In 1984, they formed the Derbyshire Families Association, DFA, a group of ordinary people who were about to take on the British government and the powerful shipping industry in a quest for the truth. The DFA's struggle was an uphill battle. They were a small group of grieving families against the might of the state and a wealthy industry that had a vested interest in keeping the case closed. They were often dismissed, their pleas for a new investigation ignored. But they were relentless. They started with what they had, a deep-seated suspicion that the ship was flawed. During this period, many unverified theories and speculations emerged. Was it a rogue wave? A single, colossal wave that could have crushed the ship's massive bow? This was a popular theory in the absence of other explanations. What about a cargo shift? The Derbyshire was carrying a heavy load of iron ore. Could it have shifted in the storm, causing the ship to list and capsize? This was a common hazard for bulk carriers, but the Derbyshire's cargo was loaded meticulously. Another theory suggested a catastrophic explosion in one of the oil tanks, though there was no evidence to support this. The DFA's persistence finally paid off. They secured a public inquiry in 1988, but the official report was a devastating blow. It once again concluded that the loss was due to bad weather and dismissed any notion of a structural failure. The families were heartbroken but not defeated. They knew the truth was somewhere at the bottom of the ocean, and they were determined to find it. They began to lobby for a new, more advanced search, one that would use modern sonar and ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, to finally find the wreckage. In 1994, with funding secured through a mix of government support and their own tireless fundraising, the DFA's dream became a reality. A high-tech survey vessel, the RV Farnella, sailed to the last known position of the Derbyshire. For months, it painstakingly mapped the seabed. On June 3, 1994, a faint signal appeared on the sonar screens. It was a large object, lying on the ocean floor. Over the next few months, the Farnella and another vessel, the Discovery, sent down ROVs with powerful cameras. What they found was both a heartbreaking confirmation and a turning point in the investigation. At a depth of 4,200 meters, nearly 14,000 feet, the MV Derbyshire was found. But she was not in one piece. The cameras revealed a vast debris field, stretching for miles across the seabed. The ship had broken into several major sections. The bow, the midsection, and the stern lay scattered and twisted, a testament to a catastrophic event. The forensic analysis of the footage and the physical evidence was led by a team of international experts. They meticulously examined the wreckage, piece by piece. They noted the buckling of the hull plates, the specific points of fracture, and the way the metal had sheared. The evidence was undeniable. The ship had suffered a massive, rapid, and violent structural failure. It had not been a slow, controlled sinking. The bow had broken away, and the rest of the ship had plunged to the bottom in what must have been minutes, if not seconds. The lack of a distress call now made perfect sense. The crew had no time to make one. The forensic evidence from the seabed gave the DFA the ammunition they needed. The fight was far from over, but for the first time, they had indisputable proof. The government was forced to convene a new, formal public inquiry in 2000. It was a long and difficult hearing, lasting for weeks, as experts presented their findings and challenged the initial, bad weather, verdict. The final report of this inquiry, released in 2001, was a monumental victory for the families and a stunning indictment of the shipbuilding industry. The investigation confirmed that the MV Derbyshire was indeed lost due to a catastrophic structural failure, not because of a storm. The official finding pointed to a design flaw in the forward section of the vessel, specifically where the ship's rigid bow met the flexible midsection. The report concluded that over time, the constant flexing of the ship in heavy seas caused cyclical stress and metal fatigue. This fatigue was concentrated around the crucial number 1 and number 2 cargo hatches. The hatches, designed to be the strongest part of the ship, were in fact its greatest weakness. During the peak of Typhoon Orchid, the immense strain on the hull caused a critical failure. The hatches buckled, water poured into the forward holds, and the bow, now an impossibly heavy anchor, tore away from the rest of the ship. The entire event likely took less than 20 minutes, from the initial failure to the ship's final plunge. The truth was laid bare: the MV Derbyshire was not a victim of the sea's fury but of a fatal flaw in her very design. She was, in a terrible irony, a ship that was built to fail in the very conditions she was meant to conquer. The final report was a landmark moment in maritime history. The British government, for the first time, officially acknowledged that the loss of the MV Derbyshire was due to a design failure. This victory was the culmination of 2 decades of tireless campaigning by the DFA, a group of families who simply refused to give up. Their fight for justice had changed the world. The findings from the Derbyshire investigation had a ripple effect across the global shipping industry. The case led to a complete overhaul of international shipbuilding standards. New regulations were implemented for the design, construction, and inspection of bulk carriers. The focus shifted to strengthening structural integrity, particularly in critical areas like the cargo hatches. Shipyards around the world were forced to re-evaluate their designs and make changes to prevent a similar tragedy. The legacy of the MV Derbyshire is a powerful one. It is a story of human tragedy, but also of incredible resilience and the unyielding power of a few determined people to fight for the truth. The 46 souls lost on that fateful day in 1980 did not die in vain. Their memory lives on not just in the hearts of their loved ones, but in the steel and reinforced designs of every bulk carrier that sails the seas today. Their story is a reminder that even the most advanced human creations can have hidden flaws, and that sometimes, it takes extraordinary courage to uncover them.